What if the people who irritate you the most are not your enemies, but your greatest teachers? The key to unshakable calm lies not in ignoring your triggers, but in understanding what they reveal about you. This is the secret to mastering your emotions, inspired by the wisdom of Carl Jung. Have you ever had a day completely derailed by a single, thoughtless comment? Maybe it was a rude gesture from another driver in traffic, or a frustrating email that landed in your inbox first thing in the morning. One tiny moment of negativity can sometimes feel like a dark cloud, following you around, poisoning everything you experience for hours on end. Now, take a deep breath and imagine something different. Picture yourself moving through your day with a profound sense of calm, a centeredness that feels unshakable. Imagine someone says something dismissive, or a situation doesn't go your way, and you remain utterly undisturbed, anchored in your own peace. Does that sound like a superpower, a far-fetched fantasy? The truth is, it's more achievable than you might think. The legendary Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung dedicated his life to exploring the vast, intricate landscape of the human mind. He believed that genuine emotional freedom doesn't come from trying to control the chaotic world around us, but from mastering the rich and complex world within us. It's about learning to command our own reactions, rather than letting other people or external events dictate our emotional state. In this video, we're going to dive deep into Jung's timeless wisdom. We'll unpack 6 transformative lessons rooted in his groundbreaking psychology that will equip you with the tools to stay calm, confident, and in control, even when faced with the most triggering situations imaginable. This is a journey to the core of your emotional self. You'll learn how to courageously face your own shadow, the hidden parts of your personality. You'll discover how to manage the fiery energy of anger, how to set healthy in life, affirming boundaries, and finally, how to release the heavy emotional baggage that has been weighing you down for far too long. These aren't just quick tips or superficial tricks. These are powerful, time-tested strategies that will empower you to respond to life's challenges with intention and strength, instead of reacting with impulsive, knee-jerk emotions. Are you ready to discover the secret to never letting anyone or anything disturb your inner peace again? If so, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because your journey to lasting emotional freedom begins right now. Stay with us. What you're about to learn might just change the way you see yourself and the world forever. Lesson 1. Confront your shadow to tame your anger. What if I told you that your white, hot anger, the kind that floods your system when a coworker dismisses your idea, a driver cuts you off, or a stranger leaves a snide comment online, isn't really about them? What if its true source lies much deeper, in a hidden corner of your own psyche? Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, proposed a revolutionary idea. Our most intense emotional reactions, especially anger, often erupt from a place he called the shadow. The shadow is the unconscious, hidden part of our personality. It's a metaphorical container where we tuck away all the things we don't like about ourselves or that society has taught us to repress. Our deepest insecurities, our unhealed wounds, our buried fears, and our unacceptable desires. It's the part of us we studiously avoid confronting. So, when someone's words or actions trigger us, it's not just the external event that's upsetting us. It's our shadow, lurching out from the darkness, reacting to a perceived threat that resonates with an old, unhealed pain. In this first lesson, we'll explore how bravely turning to face your shadow is the key to managing your anger and reclaiming your inner peace. Let's bring this to life with Sarah, a 32-year-old marketing manager. She's in the middle of a crucial team meeting, passionately presenting a new campaign strategy. Suddenly, her colleague Tom interjects with a dismissive wave of his hand That idea's been done a million times. It's tired. Let's move on. A chilling silence descends upon the room. Sarah's heart begins to pound in her chest. A hot flush creeps up her neck, and a powerful wave of pure rage rises within her. Her immediate, primal urge is to lash out, to defend her idea with ferocity, to prove Tom wrong and humiliate him in return. But in that critical moment, she pauses. She takes a breath, and she asks herself a potent question. Why does his comment sting so deeply? In that moment of reflection, Sarah has a revelation. It's not just about Tom and his rudeness. It's about her shadow. It's about the terrified part of her that fears being dismissed and rendered invisible. It's about the part of her that has, for her entire life, tied her self-worth to external validation and approval. Jung taught that our shadow isn't a flaw to be despised, it's a messenger to be understood. Your anger in this context is not a destructive force. It is a vital signal, a flashing red light on your inner dashboard, pointing directly to something unresolved within you. A deep-seated fear, an old wound from childhood, or a false belief you hold about yourself. When we try to suppress the shadow, to pretend it doesn't exist, it gains power. It seizes control in unguarded moments, turning minor annoyances into catastrophic emotional outbursts. But when we have the courage to face it, to look it in the eye, we regain control. For Sarah, this meant asking, why does the fear of being dismissed cut me so deep? Through journaling and quiet reflection, she uncovered a long-standing, painful fear of being overlooked, a pattern that began in her childhood. Acknowledging this hidden wound didn't just magically erase her anger at Tom. It did something far more profound. It began the process of healing a part of herself that she had long ignored. So, how can you begin to face your own shadow to manage anger? The first step is cultivating radical self-awareness. Jung called this process making the unconscious conscious. The next time someone or something triggers you, try to see it not as an attack, but as a spotlight being shone directly onto your shadow. Instead of impulsively reacting or shutting down completely, pause and ask yourself, what's really happening here inside me? Is this intense emotion truly about this specific situation, or is it touching on something deeper? A buried fear, a painful memory, an unmet need from my past. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about understanding yourself with compassion. As Jung famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Let's make this incredibly practical. You're driving to an important appointment and another car aggressively cuts you off, forcing you to slam on the brakes. Your instinctive reaction is a surge of adrenaline. You want to lean on the horn, shout, or make a furious gesture. But what if in that moment you paused? What if you asked, what is this anger really about? Perhaps the rage is fueled by the immense pressure you're under from a looming deadline at work. Or maybe it taps into a much deeper, more fundamental fear of losing control or being disrespected. Simply naming the true source of the emotion begins to weaken its grip on you. You're not suppressing your anger, you're understanding it. And that is the first, crucial step to mastering it. Here's a simple yet powerful technique you can start using today: the shadow journal. The next time you feel triggered, find a quiet moment to write down the answers to these questions. What happened? Describe the trigger objectively. Who or what triggered me? What am I feeling? Be specific. Anger, hurt, shame, humiliation, etc. Rate the intensity of the feeling from 1 to 10. What's beneath it? This is the most important part. Does this feeling remind me of anything from my past? Is there a deeper belief or fear at play? What is my shadow trying to tell me? Let's go back to Sarah. After the meeting, she could have used the shadow journal unwritten. Tom dismissed my idea in front of the whole team. I felt humiliated and furious. Intensity, 8/10. Beneath it, I'm terrified that my ideas aren't good enough. It reminds me of how I often felt ignored as a child. By naming it, she helps herself see the anger not as an overwhelming threat, but as a messenger from a younger, wounded part of herself. Facing your shadow isn't easy. It requires immense courage to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. But with each act of conscious reflection, you weaken the shadow's power over you. You stop being a puppet of your past and start responding to the present with wisdom and intention. Jung once beautifully stated, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That rude coworker, that reckless driver, that passive-aggressive comment, they begin to lose their power when you realize that your anger is often a mirror, reflecting what inside of you still needs healing and attention. So, the next time that fire of anger flares up, don't ignore it and don't let it consume you. Pause, breathe, and ask with genuine curiosity, what is my shadow trying to reveal to me right now? Because when you do that, you're not just calming your anger. You're connecting more deeply and authentically with the person you truly are. Have you noticed a personal trigger that repeatedly sets you off? Share it in the comments below. We're all on this journey of discovery together. Lesson 2. Master the pause and reclaim your power. Have you ever felt your emotions spiral out of control because of something someone said or did, only to deeply regret how you handled the situation, hours or even minutes later? One of the most powerful insights from Carl Jung's psychology is the understanding that between a trigger, the external event, and your response to it, there lies a space. And within that tiny, precious space is your power, your freedom, your ability to choose. It is in that sacred pause that your emotional sovereignty lies. Too often, we live our lives on autopilot, allowing others to dictate how we feel. A critical comment from a boss ruins our evening. A short, tempered remark from a partner sours our mood for the whole day. We unconsciously hand over the remote control to our emotional state. But what if you could take that control back permanently? In this lesson, we explore how to find and use that space to consciously choose your response, rather than being controlled by an unconscious reaction. Jung taught that our knee-jerk reactions are deeply rooted in our inner world, in our unconscious beliefs, our unexamined fears, and our unmet needs. When someone pushes our buttons, our tendency is to blame them for our emotional turmoil. But the deeper truth is, they are merely the spark. The vast, combustible fuel for the fire comes from within us. The empowering news is that you have the power to decide how that fire behaves. You can let it rage into an inferno, or you can choose to contain it, understand it, and let it burn out harmlessly. This space between stimulus and response is where self-awareness and conscious action meet. It's the moment of truth where you decide whether you will allow someone to pull you into their vortex of chaos, or whether you will remain grounded in your own truth and peace. Let's consider John, a 28-year-old graphic designer who is passionate about his creative work. One evening, he's out with friends when his old acquaintance Mike says mockingly, "Still doing those little artsy projects, huh? When are you going to get a real job?" An immediate surge of hot anger bubbles up inside John. His every instinct screams at him to defend his career, to list his accomplishments, to put Mike in his place. But he pauses. He takes a single deep breath. And in that crucial moment of stillness, he realizes that Mike's comment has nothing to do with him or his work. It's a reflection of Mike's own insecurities and his narrow definition of success. John chooses not to take the bait. He smiles faintly, changes the subject, and avoids a pointless, draining conflict. He chose peace over being right. This idea of creating a pause is not new. It's ancient wisdom. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote memorably, Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. For Jung, mastering this space is the very essence of self-mastery and the path to a fully realized life. So, how can you practice creating this sacred pause in your everyday life? Here is a simple but profoundly effective technique. The 3-second rule. When you feel that familiar rush of being triggered, stop. For just 3 seconds. Pause 1 second, do nothing, don't speak, don't act, just freeze. Breathe 1 second. Take one slow, deep, intentional breath. Feel the air fill your lungs and then release it. This simple act short circuits the brain's fight-or-flight response. Reflect and choose 1 second. In that final second of clarity, ask yourself, what's really going on here? How do I want to respond based on my values? Picture this. You're at a large family dinner, and your well-meaning but critical uncle comments loudly, "You travel so much. Don't you think it's time you settled down and thought about your future?" Your immediate impulse might be to snap back with a defensive retort. Instead, you deploy the 3-second rule. You pause, you take a quiet breath, you reflect. Maybe he's just projecting his own regrets or his own definition of a happy life onto me. His view doesn't have to be my reality. You can then choose to respond with grace. I really love traveling right now. It brings me a lot of joy. Or you can simply smile, say nothing, and let the comment float away. You remain in control. This isn't about suppressing or denying your emotions. It's about giving yourself a moment to understand them before you let them drive your actions. As Jung emphasized, the process of individuation, of becoming your whole, true self, requires moving from unconscious reaction to conscious choice. Here's another example. Lisa, a dedicated teacher, receives a harshly critical email from a parent late on a Friday afternoon. Her first feeling is that she's being attacked and unfairly judged. The old Lisa would have fired back an equally defensive email immediately. But now, she uses the 3-second pause, she breathes, she reflects on the parent's likely stress and anxiety about their child. She chooses a different path. She replies calmly and professionally, "Thank you for sharing your feedback. I can see how concerned you are. Let's schedule a time to talk next week so we can work together to support your child." She diffuses the situation and opens the door for collaboration instead of conflict. Over time, practicing this simple habit literally rewires your brain's neural pathways. The rude coworker, the judgmental friend, the random stranger online, they no longer have the power to control your emotional narrative. You do. As Jung might say, you stop being a puppet of your unconscious and become the author of your emotional script. So, the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remember your power, pause, reflect, choose. Your freedom lives in that space. Can you think of a recent moment where you could have used the 3-second pause? Share your experience in the comments. We are all growing together on this path. Lesson 3. Build your fortress with healthy boundaries. Do you often find yourself feeling emotionally drained, overcommitted, and resentful? Do you feel like you're constantly saying yes to the demands of others, while a quiet voice inside you is screaming no? Carl Jung believed that achieving inner peace is inextricably linked to the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your authentic, unique self by consciously honoring your own needs, values, and energy. A crucial, non-negotiable part of this journey is learning to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls you build to push people away. Think of them instead as a sacred fence around your inner garden. This fence has a gate. It allows you to let in the sunlight, the people, experiences, and energy that nourish you, while keeping out the weeds of negativity, unreasonable demands, and emotional exhaustion. When you set a clear boundary, you are making a powerful declaration to the world and, more importantly, to yourself. My peace matters. My energy is finite and valuable. And that isn't selfish. It is absolutely necessary for living a healthy, meaningful, and fulfilling life. Jung taught that without strong boundaries, we risk losing ourselves completely in the expectations, moods, and dramas of others. Our sense of self becomes blurred, and we end up living a life that is a reaction to everyone else's needs rather than an expression of our own. Consider the story of Mia, a 35-year-old single mother who also runs her own small business. She's a deeply caring person, and her friends know they can always count on her. This often means they call her late at night to vent about their problems. Though she genuinely cares for them, these lengthy, emotionally charged calls leave her feeling depleted and exhausted, with no time to recharge for the next demanding day. One evening, her friend Lisa calls at 10:00 p.m. already in tears. The old Mia would have answered immediately, sacrificing her own need for rest. But tonight, she pauses. She recognizes the familiar feeling of her own peace being sacrificed for someone else's crisis. With a sense of newfound clarity, she lets the call go to voicemail and sends a text. "Hey, I care about you so much and want to hear what's going on. I need to protect my evenings for rest and my family, but can we please schedule a call to talk tomorrow afternoon?" Lisa understands, and Mia feels a profound sense of relief and self-respect. This is individuation in action, choosing yourself without guilt, and in doing so, creating a more sustainable and honest friendship. Boundaries are the ultimate expression of self-care and relationship care. Without them, your life is essentially an open house, vulnerable to constant intrusions that leave you feeling resentful and burned out. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Setting boundaries is how you claim that privilege. So, how do you begin this practice, especially if you're a chronic people pleaser? Use this simple framework, the boundary blueprint. Identify your limit, get quiet and honest with yourself. What specific behavior is draining your energy? Is it a colleague who always dumps extra work on you at 5 p.m.? A family member who makes critical comments about your life choices? A friend who monopolizes every conversation? Pinpoint the exact issue. Communicate clearly and simply. Your boundary needs to be communicated with calm, firm language. Use I statements to express your need without blaming the other person. For example, "I need some quiet time after work to recharge," or "I feel uncomfortable when you comment on my finances." Uphold it consistently. This is the hardest part. People may test your new boundary. You must uphold it, even when it feels awkward or uncomfortable. Stick to your no, kindly but firmly. Consistency is what teaches others how to treat you. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague frequently asks you to help with their tasks at the last minute, causing you to stay late. You're feeling overwhelmed and resentful. Let's apply the blueprint. Identify, "I cannot keep taking on extra work at the expense of my own projects and my personal time." Communicate. The next time it happens, you say calmly, "I'd love to help, but I have to focus on my own deadlines right now." Uphold. If they push, you repeat your boundary with kindness. "I understand you're in a tough spot, but I'm not able to take that on today." Setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent a lifetime trying to please others. You might feel a pang of guilt, but the truth is, healthy people will respect you more when you respect yourself. And for those who react poorly or try to guilt-trip you, their reaction reveals far more about their own lack of respect for boundaries than it does about you. Your inner peace is sacred. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, No person is free who is not master of themselves. Here's one more example. David is a college student whose roommate constantly borrows his clothes and gadgets without asking. Instead of letting his resentment silently build, David decides to set a boundary. He says, "Hey, I'm generally okay with sharing some things, but it's really important to me that you ask first." He may have to repeat this a few times, but eventually his roommate adjusts, and David feels more respected and secure in his own space. Boundaries are how you honor your own worth. They are not walls that isolate you. They are bridges to healthier, more honest, and more respectful relationships. The true power of boundaries lies in their ability to liberate you from the shackles of burnout and resentment. They empower you to give a joyful, wholehearted yes to the things that align with your deepest values and a calm, guilt-free no to the things that don't. By setting them, you are not just protecting your peace. You are honoring the unique, powerful, and authentic self that Carl Jung believed you were destined to become. Take a moment and ask yourself, what is one boundary I need to set this week to protect my peace? Share your commitment in the comments and let's motivate each other. Lesson 4. Turn criticism from a weapon into a mirror. Has a single piece of harsh criticism ever made you feel defensive, small, or even worthless? It's a universal human experience to feel a sting of hurt when someone points out our perceived flaws. But what if criticism wasn't just an attack to be defended against? What if, when viewed through a different lens, it could become a mirror, showing you parts of yourself you haven't yet explored? Carl Jung's psychology offers a transformative perspective. Criticism, when met with curiosity instead of reactivity, can become a powerful catalyst for personal growth. Through Jung's concept of the shadow, those hidden aspects of ourselves we tend to deny or repress, we can understand why criticism hits so hard. He believed that our most intense reactions to criticism often originate in the shadow, touching upon our unacknowledged fears, insecurities, or traits we'd rather not see. When someone criticizes us, it's as if they are holding up a mirror to a part of our shadow we haven't yet faced. The sting we feel isn't just about their words. It's about the uncomfortable truth or fear those words awaken within us. By learning to see criticism as an opportunity to examine your shadow, you can perform a kind of emotional alchemy, turning the lead of pain into the gold of personal progress. In this lesson, we'll learn how to reframe criticism, manage the emotional triggers it creates, and use it to unlock a deeper level of self-awareness on your path to individuation. Let's illustrate this with Alex, a 30-year-old software developer who has poured his heart and soul into a new project. During a code review, his manager says bluntly, "This is sloppy, Alex. The logic is a mess. You really need to step up your game." A wave of shame, anger, and embarrassment washes over Alex. His first impulse is to become defensive, to list all the reasons his manager is wrong, to protect his fragile ego. But instead, he remembers this principle, he pauses, he takes a breath. He looks at the situation through a Jungian lens and asks, why does this hurt so much? Beyond the harsh delivery, is there any grain of truth here? Digging deeper, he realizes the comment echoes a persistent, nagging fear from his own shadow. The fear that he might not be as competent as he pretends to be. Rather than retaliate or shut down, Alex makes a courageous choice. He approaches his manager later and says, "Your feedback was hard to hear, but I want to improve. Can you show me specifically where the code is weakest?" He uses the feedback to refine his work, to learn a better way, and he ultimately gains more confidence and skill. By bravely facing the part of his shadow the criticism illuminated, Alex transformed a painful moment into a powerful opportunity for growth. This perfectly aligns with Jung's idea that even negative experiences and undesirable, Parts of ourselves are essential for becoming whole. Criticism doesn't have to define your worth. It can be an invitation for introspection. As Jung insightfully said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves.